Bueno, como les comentaba, son parte de la movida synth pop. A fines de los 80 se volvieron virales, lo que sería ahora virales. Tienen editado 9 discos y el 6 de agosto pronto va a salir su disco número 10, Oddfellows. Se conforman por Paul Robb, James Cassidy, Ziggy Pribula y el cantante es nada más y nada menos que Kurt Harlan Larson, quien lo tengo a mi lado en este momento. Kurt, how are you doing?
Reasonably well, all things considered, and adjusting for inflation. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Oh, I would say awesome, like I said to my children in the school. So, what is going on? I mean, I want to know what is going on next to you. I see a lot of boxes. Are you moving out? Are you moving in out of space?
No, the problem is that I have children. So I had to make them this epic, awesome box fort, which has 3 rooms and a skylight and a bed and lights and an escape tunnel.
They have more rooms than I have here.
Yeah, we do everything for our kids, right?
Yeah, Daddy, I want to move up there. More space for me.
More box forts for everybody.
So, what brings the Oddfellows to the fans? Tell us the news. Tell us the new album coming up.
Well, it's been a long time in the making. A few years ago, we started releasing just singles. Every 4 months or so, we would put out one song. So several of the songs on this new album have already been released. But then we figured, it's time for something bigger. So we stopped putting out the singles, collected up a few more songs, had some spaghetti, and here you go. Interestingly, a few of the songs are actually old songs that were written in the early 90s for our Peace and Love Incorporated album, but just ones that we didn't use. And now we have recorded them again. And I kind of like that because I can sing a lot better now than I could then. And Paul's way better at recording tracks now than he was then. So all in all, it's just, I think they turned out a lot better now than they would have then.
Bueno, lo que primero hablamos de, I forgot to translate. I will see what I can translate.
I figured you'd be translating later or putting subtitles under me or something, right?
Usually I do it on spot, so people can see us, and it's just a short translation usually. I love that. Mr. Spock. Bueno, hablamos recién de la caja. La caja es una casita que hizo para los hijos. Tiene 3 habitaciones, una salida de escape, tiene luces y es más grande que mi propia casa. Y hablamos de Oddfellows, el nuevo disco que tenían varios temas, algunos grabados a principios de los 90. Y me está desconcentrando y ahora lo voy a cogotar. Y el tema es que siente que esos temas están mejores ahora porque él puede cantar mejor, Paul toca mejor y todos tocan mejor. Así que está como, bueno, han grabado varios singles y decidieron poner todo junto, aparte de esos temas que ya tenían antes. Eso es básicamente lo que hablábamos. Le voy a preguntar, le pregunté acerca del disco. Le voy a preguntar que lo vi grabando en THX Spatial Studios. No sé qué es eso. So, what is THX Spatial Studios?
Right. Well, if you've ever seen Star Wars, then you may know that THX is a company that George Lucas started to handle what he saw as a lack of high quality sound in movie theaters. And so got a bunch of people together and they figured out what would be best for theaters to do with their speakers and what kinds of speakers to have, how to install them, where to place them, and worked on the other end with creating the right kind of content for those speakers. And generally set up a standard for having better audio in movie theaters. And you've probably seen the little ads before some of the movies where a little robot guy comes out and does something, and then you hear all the sound, and it says THX, which came from his one of his early films, THX 1138, which is a thing he used in several places. And our manager, by coincidence, is now one of the people who's running that company. And so he made it easy for us to get these spatial audio mixes made. And we thought, why not? It's not going to be the main thing that people use all the time, but it's something different, a little treat if you want to sit down and listen to it sometime.
Bueno, era acerca del estudio de George Lucas, que obviamente era para hacer mejor audio a las películas. Y justamente el manager de ellos es el que maneja el estudio y bueno, los metió a grabar ahí y con efectos y todo eso. Zeke is an official member since 2019. How works that? I mean, he have been playing with the band for a while, and then you decided to put it as the fourth member, right?
Yeah, because well, we were very lucky, I think, in the fact that Zeke reached out to us, because we weren't really even thinking about video, and then he just contacted us. It was his own idea, and just said, "Hey, I love your band. I live in Arizona, and I make videos." And started talking to Paul, and then he made some video backgrounds for us to play during our show, which we really liked. And then he had the idea of running video live during the show, so he can sort of mix stuff up as the songs are going on, which we really liked. And by the time we had that happening, we had sort of figured out that things had changed. And if you're a performing band above, a certain level, you absolutely have to have a visual show of some kind like that. You just, you can't go on stage without video content anymore. It's the way it seems. I mean, at least with certain kinds of music. So, thank God that he did. And, after some years, we realized that we completely depended on his presence on the stage for our show to even work. So, I mean, we didn't make him an official member of the band. He made himself an official member of the band. It just took us a long time to officially recognize that, and give him the credit that he was due.
Bueno, él nos dice que Zeke lo contactó y bueno, que hace videos y que hizo videos de fondo para sus conciertos, que bueno, en realidad hoy en día dice que si en los shows es importante tener también contenido visual y bueno, cuando se dieron cuenta de que las cosas cambiaron, bueno, ya tenían a Zeke en la banda y que, bueno, él se hizo cargo de esa parte y que después de varios años él se autoproclamó miembro oficial del grupo y a ellos les costó darse cuenta de que era parte tan importante de la banda como los que generaban la música. So he will be most as a visual member of the band. Right?
Yeah, what Zeke does on stage doesn't make any sound. He's only doing the visuals.
Visuals. Yeah, that's. I don't know why. I mean, someone didn't do that before with other people that are part of the band. Producers or something that really are working for in a long term, right?
Well, it's difficult for people because if your band is still an ongoing monetary concern, like it's the thing that people are depending on for their income, then you have to be really careful about who's officially in the band and who's just an employee, because it makes a big difference to how the money is divided and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But this band hasn't paid our rent in, 25 years. So it's easy for us. We don't care. We all have real jobs.
No, I'm glad you say that, because usually people are thinking, well, more money for me, more money for me. And sometimes when you, probably because you are someone that reach your own goals in some way. I mean, when you have what you wanted already, probably you don't need that much more, and you can, share a little bit, right?
Um, I wish I could say it's something that positive, but no, it's just that we got to the point where the band just wasn't making enough money for us to live on anymore. So we all went out and got real jobs,
Right.
So now it's more like a hobby. We don't do shows because we need to make sure we're making enough money. I don't know why we're still doing it, honestly, because none of us really needs the money anymore. I mean, at least the
Right.
amount of money that we make, which is, not much.
Right. Bueno, estamos hablando de lo importante que es por ahí reconocer a personas que trabajan en la banda, y dice, sí, el tema es que a la hora de monetizar, a la hora de generar dinero, es complicado ver quién es miembro oficial y quién es un empleado, porque de ahí justamente es donde marca la diferencia de cómo dividir el dinero, ¿no? Pero la banda de ellos yo entendí mal, porque pensé que hacía suficiente dinero como para repartir, y no, todo lo contrario. La banda hace años que no genera dinero lo suficiente como para poder tener esa generosidad, sino que encima hoy es un hobby para ellos, y que se pueden dar el gusto de no necesitar ganar dinero de la banda en sí, sino de que simplemente si tocan, tocan porque pueden hacerlo, y es más un hobby que un trabajo. Talking about the shows, anything going on this year, next year?
No, I don't think we're going to get out in 2021 because it takes a long time and a lot of advance notice to plan these things. And although things are starting to return to normal here in the United States, I know that in Central and South America, everything is still really difficult. And so expect to be back anywhere in Latin America until next year, which is too bad. I was hoping we could get back to Brazil or somewhere,
Where
in
do you go?
2021.
Where do you go before? I mean, in the past in Latin America, just Brazil?
No, we've done shows in Brazil and Panama and Costa Rica, Mexico, Peru, Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela.
Okay.
We were supposed to play in Chile, but that got held up because of a visa problem. We had a show scheduled for Uruguay that also got held up for the same visa problem. So, pretty much all over.
Oh. How was your experience in Argentina? Do you remember that? I am from Argentina. That is.
Oh, excellent. Well, I love Buenos Aires.
Oh.
It was one of my favorite cities that I've ever been to in all of Latin America. Unfortunately, we didn't have any time to stay there. I was only there for about 36 hours, which was really sad. Yeah, and we were going to go back again a couple of years ago, but that's that same trip where the visas got messed up. We went to Peru, but we didn't have the right work visas, apparently, so they wouldn't let us leave for a few days while we got that sorted out, and then the shows got canceled because we weren't there. We were supposed to play in Buenos Aires, 2 days later, and it took 2 days just to figure it out.
Bueno, le pregunté si pensaban tocar este año. Este año me dijo que no, por el 2021 no. Requiere tiempo coordinar un show, una gira, y no se hace con facilidad. Lo que pasa es que él entendió fuera del país. Después en realidad le preguntaba en general. Y fuera del país han tocado en Brasil, mencionó, pero le pregunté si tocó en otros lugares. Dijo, sí, tocó en Argentina, en Perú, en Chile. No pudieron ir a Chile por un problema de visas. Tocaron en varios países, Colombia, ahí mencionó todos los países. Y le pregunté que no pudieron volver a Argentina en un momento también por un problema de visas, y se canceló el concierto. También hablamos acerca de su experiencia en Argentina. Dice que le gustó mucho, así que bueno, yo le pregunté porque soy de allá. Well, one of the things that I talk with many musicians when they are touring is in some point of your life when your career is done already, I mean, when you are either making a lot of money or not making any money or whatever in the middle, take the time to explore. What else do you have? I mean, I know musicians that have been playing all over the world, and they don't know anything, or they just know the bar next to the hotel.
Yeah, well, it's hard because if you're touring, because you're on this tight schedule, and the more
Yeah.
time you have between shows, the less money you make because you're paying your people and
Oh
you're paying
yeah.
for hotels and blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
you always try to plan it so that there's a show almost every night, which means you have no time to see or do anything.
Mm.
It's really
Yeah.
sad.
I forgot that it's not only the musician, it's just, it's
Mm.
all the production. Yeah.
And also, you roll into a town, and unless you've planned something in advance, right? You don't know the city. Maybe you don't know anybody there. You don't have your own transportation. You only have a few hours. It's really difficult to get out and do
Yeah.
anything worthwhile.
No, I am aware of that. I mean, I've been working with musicians, and it's not easy. At the same time, I feel that, oh, you were in Buenos Aires. There's so many things that, or at least two, three things that you can do in just one day. Peru, Brazil, depending where you go, Rio or Colombia, everywhere. And the culture, the food, and maybe you get junk food, or and you miss all that, and hopefully next
I,
time you have like some extra hours.
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I was thinking of trying to come down to Argentina for the most recent total eclipse, but
Oh,
I didn't make it. I
just for
wanted
that
to.
reason?
What?
Would be that would be that was the reason that you were probably going to Argentina?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
just for that.
well, next time try to go to the waterfalls, right at the northeast, next to Brazil. That would be, if you like nature, obviously. You are in a
What's
very
the
nice
name?
place. Iguazu.
Hmm. I've seen
Okay.
that on the map.
Oh, you see it. Oh,
No, I have seen it on the map before.
oh,
Uh, Iguazu Falls. Yeah, yeah.
Iguazu Falls.
In
Yeah.
Misiones province.
Mm-hmm. If you go to
Cool.
Misiones, the experience with nature will
Wow.
be rewarding. Bueno, le estaba diciendo de que era importante tratar de conocer un poco los lugares donde uno iba a tocar. Por lo general los músicos salen de gira y no conocen nada, a veces conocen solo el bar al lado del hotel. Obviamente me decía algo lógico, que de repente para las bandas tienen que hacer las fechas todas lo más pegadas posible, porque cuando más días tardan, todo eso se paga la producción, se paga los técnicos, toda la parte de esa, y cuesta mucho dinero para poder perder días o tener días libres. Me contaba de que estuvo a punto de ir a Argentina por el eclipse total. Le conté de que si va a Argentina la próxima vez, que vaya a las cataratas de Iguazú. Y bueno, ahí las estuve investigando y parece que le gustó. Anyway, so no shows. Oh, I forgot to ask you, anything different from Oddfellows from previous releases? I mean, not changing the style, but anything that you incorporated? Talking about THX.
Well, I think it's going to be most similar to our 2014 album Hello World.
Oh,
But compared to any other album we've done, it's quite different. Orders of Magnitude was all covers, so the songwriting is quite different. And the one before Hello World, we had a different singer,
yeah.
and Paul was using a different kind of style for recording the tracks. That was 15 years ago now. And then, of course, before that, it was 30 years ago, and we were doing things completely differently. So the only thing it's going to sound similar to is Hello World.
Okay. Any guest?
Yeah, we have on one song we got the singer from Dissonance to do some backup vocals for us, Catherine Hall. I think that's it.
That's it.
I don't think anyone else contributed.
Okay.
I'm probably forgetting something, and now I'm going to get in trouble. But I don't think so. Not off the top of my head.
Well, if you remember, send me an email. I will include it in the translation.
Okay.
Le pregunté un poquito más del disco de Oddfellows, el sonido un poquito, cómo iba a sonar. Me dijo que lo más cercano es al disco del año 2014 y que bueno, le pregunté, bueno, es diferente a todos los otros discos. Explicó un poquito la historia de la banda, de que hubo un cantante diferente en el 2005, creo, si no me equivoco. Y también le pregunté si tenía algún invitado y me dijo que iba a estar Catherine Hall de la banda Dissidents, algo así, no le entendí bien y hasta ahí llegamos, hasta ahí me acuerdo de lo que puedo traducir. How do you come up with the name? Talking about a little bit of the history of information. Is really, I really feel that your mind is interesting. So, well, tell me about the name of the band.
Yeah, that's what they said when I was going to school too. Kurt,
Really?
your mind is very interesting, and that's why we want you to go sit in the corner. What the original
that.
choice of the name Information Society for the band, you mean?
Yeah. Why did you choose that?
Well, this was like 1981. When I first started talking to Paul about doing music, he already had that idea that he wanted to call it Information Society. And it's just that at the time it was a new term that had recently become popular to refer to the fact that many of the jobs and the activities that people do were becoming more about information rather than making physical things. So it was meant to be a counterpoint to industrial society, meaning that we used to have an agricultural society, and then people moved off the farms and into the cities, and we became an industrial society. And in the 70s, the term was invented to say that we're starting to move from being an industrial society to an information-based society.
Right.
So I mean, we were kids, we were 18 or 19 years old, and Paul just thought it would be cool to call a band Information Society because the term was being used. But there was another reason, which is that if you abbreviate Information Society to INSOC, which we did quite a lot,
yeah.
It's almost exactly the same as the term in George Orwell's 1984, which was INGSOC, which stands for English Socialism. And we just liked making a 1984 reference.
I didn't know that one. I mean, I've seen INSOC. I mean, the short way to call it. It's called the band.
Yeah. Well, I had a T-shirt with the INGSOC logo from 1984 on it, which is great because it's it's so similar to our band, but it's different.
Bueno, le pregunté acerca del nombre. El nombre lo eligió Paul, lo tenía ya pensado antes. Habló un poquito de las sociedades que primero fueron relacionadas con la agricultura. Cuando las sociedades empezaron a moverse más a las ciudades, empezó también a pasar el tema de que la gente empezó a conectarse más o la sociedad empezó a hacer más en la parte informática, ¿no? La parte tecnológica, por lo que entiendo. Y eso es lo que se refiere un poquito el nombre de la banda. Aparte hacen una referencia del año 1984 de INSOC, la forma corta de que ellos llaman a Information Society, que significa sociedad inglesa, y es una referencia a una persona que acaba de mencionar él, Orson Welles, dijo algo así, no lo entendí bien. Y ahora le voy a preguntar algo que no tenía pensado, pero ¿hay algo que te gustaría hablar? ¿Algún tema de lo que te gustaría que te pregunten en alguna entrevista? It's not written here, no? I'm reading the question but there's anything when you are in an interview that you would like to talk about? Anything, any team, any matter that you would like to, hey, nobody asked me for that.
Well, I mean, outside of my personal life, the thing that I care most about is climate disruption.
Okay.
So I'll take this chance to get up on my soapbox and ask anyone who ever hears this recording to pay attention, get serious, get involved about climate disruption, because it has as much potential to destroy global civilization as do nuclear weapons.
There might be any relations between what you said about, the problem we have with ecology and the reduction of population that we might see. Some people are saying that we might see soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's expected that the global population is going to peak and decline, and part of that is because of climate disruption. There's going to be a dieback just because of mass agricultural disruption and internal and external displacements of whole populations. Not conditions in which humans can thrive. And the less of that we create, the better chance we have of continuing the civilization that we have now, and not having to convert into some kind of Mad Max world,
Mm. What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of climate disruption, dude.
Mostly that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's already the trouble has already started. There's people have been talking about little else for the last 5 years than the migration crisis, all these people at the border between Mexico and the US. Oh my God, oh my God. Well, there isn't enough attention on the fact that that is a climate related crisis. Most of the displaced people from Central America used to be small-scale agricultural people who usually owned their own little plot of land and would grow coffee, especially, some other crops too. But the weather patterns over that part of the world have been completely disrupted. They just don't get the rains reliably that they needed to count on. So huge numbers of them had to give up their land and move into the cities, hoping to find work, where they've become economically displaced and easy prey for gangs and violence and whatnot. And so they are desperate and they're trying to come here. Well, if you trace that back, it starts with climate disruption. And that's just a tiny, tiny example. In a few decades, we could have hundreds of millions of people needing to flee areas that you can't live in anymore for whatever reason.
Yeah. Bueno, lo que me dice es que uno de los temas que le gusta, que le interesaría hablar es del tema del cambio climático, que es un problema que está presente y que no se está atendiendo demasiado. Aparte, dice que, por ejemplo, cuando la gente se preocupa por el tema de la migración en Estados Unidos, es que lo que no entienden es que está relacionado con el cambio climático, que es lo que más le preocupa a él. Le pregunté cuáles son tus miedos y es eso. Y que va a ser peor, y decía de que la gente antes trabajaba en sus tierras, por ejemplo, la gente de Centroamérica cultivando café y otros tipos de cosas, y con el cambio climático tuvieron que ser desplazados y bueno, buscan nuevas oportunidades. Yo le dije también, de alguna manera fui desplazado, no necesariamente por el cambio climático, lo aclaro. Well, yeah, it sucks. That's all I can say, I was displaced. Here I am. Talking about the band, I was wondering, when you reunited, there was an intention to having Amanda back by any chance?